Pushkin.
John Oates, thanks for being here, man.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
A real pleasure to have you here.
Yeah.
And you have a bit of a cold.
I do.
You're on a new guitar.
But that's no excuse.
No, you're a professional.
I'm gonna bring it.
So are you game to do Sonny Terry and Brownie McGee?
Yeah, well, I'm really thrilled that you actually first of all know that song, and second of all that you requested it. Yeah, it's one of my favorites. Can I tell you a little story about it real quick?
Please.
It was during the pandemic, and I was out in Colorado spending some time out there, and I ran into a neighbor of mine that I've known for over 20 years out in Woody Creek. And we started talking, because nothing was going on, and nobody was recording. And he's a great lyricist. He's written songs for John Denver. He even wrote a lyric for Frank Sinatra.
What?
Yeah, his name's Joe Henry.
Oh.
And fantastic guy. And he said, man, he goes, we've known each other for 20 years, never wrote a song together. And I said, man, I got time on my hands. Let's do it. And so he came up to our little cabin and we sat down. And, songwriters always, it's kind of hard to get started sometimes. You don't know where you're going to start, right?
Yeah.
And we started talking about the blues because he knows I was a fan and everything. He started talking about Sonny Terry and Brownie McGee, the legendary blues duo. And he said, the story about what happened to them as they got, on in their career. They really started to dislike each other. They had bad issues.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And but as time went on, one of them lost his eyesight, and the other one lost his ability to walk. And they literally needed each other to get on stage. And it kind of brought them together in a way. And I thought, wow, what a story. I said, not only is that an amazing story, but it's almost like a metaphor for kindness and lending a helping hand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just thought, wow, what a great idea. And so we started out to do the song kind of about them, but it morphed into something greater than that, and they became the vehicle for it.
Wow. I have so many questions based on what you just said, but if you play the song first, I'd like to talk some more.
Sure, I'll give it a try. Like I said, I haven't played this in a little while, but I'll give it a try, all right?
All right.
I'll be there for you. You'll be there for me. We're all just passing through. Try to be the best that we can be. I said a house that's divided is never strong enough to stand. Nothing gets decided by drawing lines in the sand. Talk about getting even, talk about sticks and stones, philosophers and fools, rolling dice with loaded bones. Brother together, but when they're on their own, they're singing the blues in different keys and keep on dreaming about what could be. And I'll walk for you. You'll see for me, said Sonny Terry to Brownie McGee. If kindness of the heart is a measure of a man, stop saying it can't be done, no. Start saying yes it can. When you're stumbling through the darkness, reach out and open up the door. Try to bring this world together, yeah, and that's worth striving for. Lying, disbelieving till the truth is gone. Ain't no logic and no reason for this carrying on long dark night. Gonna wake up to a brighter dawn. Just keep holding on and saying blues in different keys, and keep on dreaming about what could be. And I'll walk for you if you'll see for me. said Sonny Terry to Brown and McGee. Oh, talk about getting even, talk about sticks and stones, philosophers and fools, rolls and dice with loaded bones, baby. Brother to brother together, but when they're on their own, they're singing the blues in different keys. Said Sonny Terry to Brownhead McGee.
Amazing. Thank you, man.
Thanks, man. I haven't played that in a little while, so.
It was what I love about that is it's the pandemic's about when I discovered that song, because it was around that time when everyone was just clicking onto different live streams and
You had some time on your hands.
had some time, and I don't know what live stream it was, but I remember watching you play that at some point. I was like, that's a really cool song.
We did the video live in the studio.
So cool. And it's when I realized you were like I never, with Hall Oates, with you and Daryl Hall, you think, of course, soul music, R&B, so I know it's there, but I never really pegged you as either of you as like blues guys or folk guys. But and it's like it's a rootsy song, but harmonically interesting, which not to say the blues isn't really always.
I know what you're saying.
It's like that's a really cool blend of what people know you for in your career, and then this interesting part of you that I don't think a lot of people know about, Yeah,
well, I as a kid, that was my sweet spot. Folk music, rural blues, Delta blues, roots, American roots music. And that's kind of, when I met Daryl Hall, that's kind of what I brought to the table. I was more of an acoustic guitar player. And then, Daryl, had a different set of influences, and we kind of combined things together. He learned from me, and I learned from him, and that became the collaboration became our sound. It eventually,
Was he into, like, were you both into what each other had? Like, in terms of, was he into listening to blues, and were you into listening? No.
He was into street corner doo-wop singing, and also he was classically trained.
Yeah.
He sang in the church and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he was a piano player.
Yeah.
And so I was a predominantly acoustic guitar, and I had all the rootsy stuff happening. And so he picked up a mandolin because he wanted to learn some of that stuff. So we started playing bluegrass and things like that. And then I learned some very more sophisticated chord voicings and stuff from him because of his great piano playing.
Wow. I went on a journey after like discovering that song, and I went back and I found an old recording you guys did of Deep River Blues, which is a Doc Watson song.
That's right. Music.
Oh, man. Is it true you learned that from Doc Watson?
Well, I learned it from his record initially, but I actually met him and his son Merle.
Okay.
I had a guitar teacher in Philadelphia who started as a teacher, became a mentor, a friend, and actually played on the first two Hall Oates albums as well. And he worked at a coffee house during the 60s when the folk revival was happening. So when a lot of these original artists, everyone from people like Doc and people like Mississippi John Hurt and Sonny Terry and Brownie McGee, all these folks were being rediscovered and brought up to the northern cities, during the folk revival. He got to meet them, and eventually, they would stay at his house because, of course, a lot of, especially the blues guys coming up from the Mississippi Delta, they had no money. They didn't know how to live in a city or go to a hotel, much less, right? So I would go over to take lessons, and, Mississippi John Hurt would be there sitting on his couch. And so I learned from the originators of all this stuff, and that's why I can do all this stuff. A lot of people didn't realize that.
You met Mississippi John Hurt?
Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah, I have his guitar.
What?
I have the guitar that he played at Newport in 1963 when he was discovered.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
How did you get that?
Oh, through a circuitous way. My guitar teacher, Jerry Ricks, when he took John Hurt around, he took him to Newport Folk Festival, Philly Folk Festival, and he helped him out. So when John Hurt died, the guitar that he was given, because when John Hurt was invited to Newport for the first time, he did not even have a guitar.
Wow.
So they took him to New York and took him to the Greenwich Village to a guitar shop, and they said, pick something. And he picked this Guild guitar, Guild F30, and that was the guitar he played initially at Newport. And then, of course, the Guild company gave him a different guitar later on. But when John Hurt died, that guitar was given to my teacher, Jerry Ricks. And Jerry went to Denver, and he was working out there before he kind of expatriated to Europe and never came back.
Wow.
And at the time, he sold it to a collector out there who kept it in his basement for 35, 40 years. And the guy died. And his daughter had read where actually, I know I'm going back a little bit backwards. Back in 72, when Daryl and I were first signed to Atlantic Records, going up to New York to make the first album, and I wanted Jerry to play with me because we played together so well. And he said, "Do you want me to bring the John Hurt guitar so you can play it?" So on the first two Hall Oates albums, I'm playing Mississippi John Hurt's acoustic guitar.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Do you know what songs?
Had I Known You Better Then on the Abandoned Luncheonette, all the songs on the Hall Oates album. Anything that I'm playing acoustic guitar on, I'm playing that guitar.
Wow.
And so it was in a collection, and the guy's daughter, I guess, just wanted to sell whatever he had read about the fact that I used that guitar at one point, reached out, and then I bought it.
That's incredible. It's amazing that it landed too. Like it was in your home state.
Yeah,
as well.
It's crazy.
It's so convenient.
It's crazy, yeah.
That's insane. I mean, you guys are like both of you guys. By the way, I'm sure. Do you hate at this point that I keep saying you, but you guys are tied by career. Even
we're tied by a lot of things.
The terms aren't so friendly these days, but
hey, listen, people grow up. They grow up. They grow apart. Daryl and I, we made something very special. We made something that I'm very proud of. The music we made, the experiences we had. It's a miracle that we stayed together for 50 years. I mean, come on, most people, that's unheard of.
Yeah.
And I have great memory, and I'm really, really proud and honored to have been part of this incredible collaboration. Made some music that I think will stand the test of time. But by the same token, I can't stay. It's like going to a great museum. Yeah. You're all excited about going to the museum. You walk in there, all of a sudden your feet start getting tired. You said, "Damn, how many of these masterpieces can I look at? I got to get out of here."
It's an incredible analogy.
Well, it's weird, but
there might be a song in that one.
Yeah.
But you guys, and I'll just say, you guys are like, your career, you guys are like chameleons. Like there's this connection you have to these blues greats, which I did not know that. It's wild. Real. And then you think about there was like this very specific New York City scene that you guys got to experience, and this very specific LA scene that you guys got to experience, much less going back to Philly. And so you guys just have had these really unique, like almost like like musical what do you call that? Like not Svengalis, but like
no, let's not get that far.
But you just happen to turn up at all these kind of interesting junctures.
We had a lot of our individual musical influences are. When we were kids, Daryl lived about 20 miles from where I grew up in Pennsylvania, outside of Philadelphia, in small towns. But we listened to the same radio stations. And so when we met, even though we didn't know each other, we had this common musical lexicon that we could draw from.
Yeah.
We knew these same songs, the same artists, we could draw from those things as a common ground, a common musical ground, even though he was very different than me and I was very different from him. And that's what we used to become what we became.
Yeah.
And then during that period of time, when you're a part of a partnership, you subjugate a certain part of not only your personality, but your musical personality for the good of the whole, for the good of the team, so to speak. And so I set the folky rootsy stuff aside, really. And it was always there. You know, I'd sit in the dressing room and I'd be playing this kind of stuff all the time. Yeah. But, you know, it was never featured in the music that we made.
But to your point, on those first two albums, you can hear it to a degree.
Because we were trying to find ourselves. We didn't know who we could be.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't until the Silver album, which we recorded here in Los Angeles, that a sound kind of began to coalesce.
Right.
And then, of course, it developed during the 70s, and then in the 80s, it hit its stride. You know?
Right. I always wondered, and I'm going to ask this first. There's so many things to ask. With the Silver album, you guys were, like, to your point, in search of a sound, not successful, but not quite yet kind of over the edge. If Sarah's Smile hadn't randomly become a single, I mean, it wasn't even released as a single. Randomly, it wasn't even released as a single. Just radio picked it up.
That's right.
People kept calling. Radio plays it some more. Yes. All of a sudden, okay, we better put it out as a single.
Record company finally said, "Hey, we better release," because we had released 2 or 3 singles prior to that.
Right.
That they did okay.
Good songs, but
they didn't hit.
Yeah. Or didn't hit like that. Mm-hmm. So, would you guys have kept searching at that point? I mean, not that you guys would you have continued to try to find a sound that resonated with audiences?
I think we would have. Well, let's put it this way: we had made what at that point when Sarah Smile hit, that was the 4th album.
Yeah.
So 3 on Atlantic Records, 3.5 because they put out a kind of a greatest non-hits record called No Goodbyes. But the fact that Atlantic stuck with us with no real success, commercial success, was real. But that was a hallmark of the time. Yeah. You know, if a record company signed you in those days, they signed you because they thought you could have a career.
Yeah.
They thought you could do, you know, it wasn't just predicated on instant commercial success like it is today.
Right.
So I'm very fortunate to have grown up in that era, right?
Yeah.
And then when Sarah Smile hit, that we had already switched to RCA Records. And so then we began to really, now we got something going here. And then, of course, we had Rich Girl, and then they re-released it, She's Gone, for the 3rd time.
Yeah.
And that finally became a hit, too. So we had that run in the mid-'70s.
Right. And to that point of fostering talent over the long term, She's Gone finally becomes a hit. And it also seems to be one of the most enduring of the entire, catalog in some ways. Yeah. What preceded that switch from Atlantic to RCA? Because it always seemed like you guys were perfect for Atlantic business.
Just purely business.
Okay.
Yeah. We had, so we made, you got to look at it this way. We made the album called Hall Oates, which is very folky, very singer-songwriter. It was really just with some songs that Daryl had and some songs that I had, and we were just like, okay, we got a record contract, we got to do something. We'll play these because that's all we got. Yeah. It really wasn't until the Abandoned Luncheonette that we made an album that really was coherent, in terms of the vibe.
Yeah.
And so then we did those 2 albums, neither of which were commercially successful. So we went and just did a left turn and did a progressive rock album with Todd Rundgren called War Babies.
Yeah.
And, we had no mandate to keep doing the same thing. So, well, if people don't like what we're doing, we'll just do something else.
Yeah.
And then, then at that point, I think Atlantic had signed the Average White Band.
Okay.
And they kind of had that thing that they wanted from us. And I love those guys. But it just seemed like we had broken the mold there. And I love Atlantic Records, and I was really proud to be part of that and be with Arif Mardin, the great producer. But then we got a better deal at RCA, so we jumped ship, and there you go.
Did you hear from anyone at Atlantic when the Silver album ended up doing what it did?
No, they just immediately released She's Gone Again.
So that there was a bit of them that was...
Hey, you know what? I'm glad they did.
Yeah. I read at that time, too, when you guys were looking, you leaving Atlantic, you're going to go somewhere else. You guys met with Clive Davis.
That wasn't until later.
Wasn't until later?
Yeah.
Okay, you did meet with Clive.
The timeline's a little off there.
Sorry, okay.
We met with him later on, actually, in the early 80s when we started to have success on our commercial level. It was really, that's... I don't even like to talk about it because it was a total business thing. It was our manager. It was our manager looking for more money, basically.
Okay. All right.
Let's get these guys pre-signed to another label even before they can leave the label they're on.
Got it. I was just thinking about it because, in addition, obviously Atlantic feels like it would have been a really good fit for your sound. Yeah. Not that RCA wasn't. Obviously, you guys did very well there. But then I was also thinking like, oh yeah, Clive would be would have been an interesting place for you guys to land in a way, because I'm sure
it didn't work very well with Clive.
Got you.
Clive wanted to micromanage the song selection and things like that, but that's what he does, and he's very good at it. His track record speaks for itself.
Of course.
But with us, it wasn't a good fit.
Did you ever get that from RCA, that feel of they want
to? We always were able to keep the record labels at arm's length on the creative side. Yeah. We made the albums we wanted to make in the way we wanted to make them. We made our album covers, and then we just said, here it is. Sell it. Go sell it.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Can't do that anymore.
Well, no, not quite.
Record labels have their grubby little paws and everything, right?
Not quite.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to Sonny Terry and Brownie McGhee, though. Just talk about Circuitous. I want to go, that song, what was it like writing that song with Joe Henry? Because that's it's not quite how you got, you didn't really co-write, you and Daryl, so much, right? It was more.
We did.
You did?
Okay. Certain songs we did.
Okay.
And certain songs we didn't.
Okay.
It was interesting with Joe Henry. We didn't really know each other. He brought up this incredible idea, which immediately I realized was not the idea. I realized that the idea was a bigger idea than, I think his vision was to write a song about them. And my vision was to write a song with them as the vehicle for something else.
Yeah.
And I don't think Joe actually knew what we were writing about, because I knew exactly what I wanted to write. And he was there. He's a great lyricist. And he kept honing and refining, and we'd come up with lines, and he was a really, really great detailed guy, because he's not necessarily a musician. He didn't play an instrument. Yeah. But I knew the whole time that there was a bigger idea behind them, and that Sonny Terry and Brownie McGhee were just the vehicle to get there.
You're sitting there with the guitar, and he doesn't play, so he's just...
Right. He's writing lyrics on a yellow legal pad.
And you're going through some changes.
I'm coming up with changes. We're talking about stuff. And then we went away from each other for a while. And I started to really hone in on the story. And then I'd come back and I'd play him some stuff. And I'd say, what about this? And the lines like, the stuff like, talk about getting even, talk about sticks and stones, philosophers and fools rolling dice with loaded bones. Brother to brother together when they're on their own. Gee, I wonder what that's about.
It's
pretty obvious.
Okay. So
I was blending my experience using this great idea that Joe came up with to get somewhere else.
Did Joe not realize it's like, well, I'm talking to a guy who also...
I think he realized it after the fact.
Okay. Famous duo.
Well, he's smart.
Yeah.
But it was just a thing that I realized there was this way of saying something without being overt.
Yeah, right. And to your point, also, it's again this day and time where there's a feeling widely of scarcity and everyone wanting to just, fight for themselves, and not. It's like this idea that no, we're actually interdependent, as people, and so there's also this larger kind of beautiful message, as well as this kind of more personal thing.
Yeah.
So it just makes it this really, and the changes, and very cool song.
Yeah. It's a folk with some sophisticated chord changes thrown in there.
That's right.
Yeah.
There was a period in time, your first solo album, you have a new one coming out, Oates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In just a couple of days.
Yeah.
As we're taping this, it'll be out by the time this airs. And I want to talk about that. But your solo, you didn't really make a solo album until 2001?
2001, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, started in 2000, came out in 1.
Yeah. What happened in the intervening time between?
Well, at the end of the 80s, Daryl and I were burned out. After we finished the Apollo Theater show with Eddie Kendrick and David Ruffin from the Temptations.
Forgot about that.
Yeah. That was a high point in our, I think it was a full circle moment for both Daryl and myself.
Yeah.
We bonded early on as teenagers over our love of the Temptations. Daryl actually was in a group called the Temptones that was kind of sponsored by, not really sponsored by, but he was friends with those guys, the original group. And,
wait, really? The Temptones was loosely connected, like a junior varsity version of...
Yeah.
What?
And sure. In fact, one of the first things Daryl and I did together was went to the Apollo Theater in New York, went backstage, hung out with the Temptations in the dressing room, and then sat in the front row watched their show, which I'd, of course, seen them before, the original group.
Yeah.
Then flash forward to the 85, 86, we're reopening the Apollo after the renovation. And we did a special show for the NAACP, and we wanted to do something special. So we found Eddie. Eddie was singing Holiday Inns down in Alabama. David was in Detroit somewhere. I don't know what he was doing, nothing.
Yeah.
And we asked them to come and reprise the Temptations medley, and we did that on the Apollo show.
Unbelievable.
After we did that, I remember after that show, Daryl and I, it was a big hubbub backstage, a lot of press and a lot of friends, and I remember us sitting quietly in a corner, and it was almost like we realized that it was done, that we had completed the circle.
Got you.
Yeah. There wasn't much to be said, but I know we both knew it. And I was, you have to remember, we made our first album in 72. Mm-hmm. So now go to 86. We made an album every year from 72 to 86, and sometimes more than one because of greatest hits albums and live albums and things like that. Yeah. And we toured in between every album and never, ever stopped.
Yeah.
So you're talking about, 15 years straight of touring without ever stopping. Yeah. Not once. Yeah. And it was like I knew there was something missing in my life, and I'm just talking my own point of view. Yeah. And I just wanted to stop. And so that's what we did in the end of the 80s, which was commercially, from a career point of view, probably the worst thing you could possibly have done when we were riding on top of the world.
You guys were like killing it.
Yeah, I mean, we were on top of the pop world, right? But we basically just stopped. And it was then I began to rethink certain things, like personal life and stuff like that. So we ended up making another record. Made a record called Ooh Yeah in like 88, I want to say.
Yeah, 89, 88.
It wasn't much. It had like a semi-hit single. My heart wasn't in it. And then we made an album called Change of Season. And that album, just the title alone, can tell you about the kind of where, at least from my point of view, where I was coming from. And I was ready for something else. Yeah. I didn't have a life, I had a great professional life, but I had burned a lot of bridges, in the process. And I got divorced. Our manager left. Tommy Mottola, who was our manager, he went to Sony Music or to CBS at the time, became the president of CBS. He took off on other paths with Mariah, etc. And it was like a rudderless ship. And so I just checked out. I sold everything I had, left New York City, moved into my little condo in Aspen, Colorado, and I met my future wife, built a house, had a kid. And so for the entire decade of the 90s, I went skiing, and I went bike riding and hiking and backcountry skiing, and I lived a different life. Wow. And I realized that music could be part of my life, not just the only thing in my life. So it was probably the most important thing I ever did. And Colorado saved me. Because I don't know what would have happened if I would have stayed in New York. I think bad things would have happened.
Really?
I would have gone down some dark paths.
Was there a part of you when you're in Colorado, 5 years into this self-imposed sabbatical exile from the industry, that feels like...
No.
Done it? No?
No. It was wonderful. Oh, that's great. Best thing ever happened to me.
That's great.
I didn't even make any music. We made one album in 96. Our son had just been born. I wasn't into it. I threw in a couple songs, and we did a short tour. It was nothing. And then nothing happened until the 2000s, and that's when I made my first solo album. It's also when Daryl and I made another album that did fairly well. But at that point now, I had realized that something needed to change.
Yeah. And so the first solo album,
Feng Shui.
F-U-N-K.
Hey, listen. Let me tell you about that real quick. I remember getting a review on that album. The review was like, it's a pretty good record with an unfortunate title. You know how the title was so stupid, okay? I had a good friend of mine, Jed Lieber, who's actually who I borrowed this guitar from. Man. He runs a studio at the Sunset Marquee, and he's a fantastic musician, and he and I were doing that album together. And we were on a plane going to New York to finish it, mix it, and we had no title for it. And Jed was sitting... He happened to be sitting next to this Asian gal, and I was sitting, a few rows away. And I guess he was talking to her, and she said, "Well, what are you doing?" He goes, "Oh, we made a record." And he goes, and she said, "What kind of record?" He goes, "Well, it's kind of got some funk in it." And she went, "Oh, like feng shui?" And I swear to God, and he comes running up the aisle, and he taps you on the shoulder. He goes, "I got the title." And I went, "Really?" And I was stupid enough to believe him, to do it. But I thought it was funny. So
it's kind of cool in a way. I mean, it is. Like it's not a super self-serious.
No,
it's great.
But anyway, so that album was, and here again, that album was just a way of getting started because it was just a collection of stuff I had. It wasn't coherent. It really wasn't until I made the next album, 1,000 Miles of Life, in Nashville, that I began to really hone in on what I was going to be as a solo artist.
And had you moved to Nashville at that point?
No, but I was spending a lot of time there. Okay. I started going to Nashville in the late 90s.
Okay, tell me about that.
Well, I produced an album for a guy named Jerry Lynn Williams, an amazing artist who lived in Tulsa, Oklahoma, but he had his business and his publishing and based in Nashville. Through working with him, I met some Nashville folks, and somebody said, "Hey, you got to come. You got to come to Music City. I think you're going to like it. You're gonna like it." And when I went there for the first time in the late 90s, I did a couple demo sessions, and the players were just so good. And it was a whole different thing because, up to that time, early 70s, I had never played in any other band. I was in the Hall Oates band.
Yeah.
So all I did was that.
Yeah.
And it was great, and with great musicians, of course. But all of a sudden, I was walked into a completely new environment, and all of a sudden, I realized that the players I was playing with had a lot of the same roots and influences as my early folk stuff. So it took that side of me that I had set aside for all those years, and I started bringing it out. And because then I would sit down, with some of these guys, and I play like a Doc Watts, and they go, "I didn't know you could do that." And I said, "Well, yeah, I can. I kind of forgot about it, but I want to remember."
So it was a shock to everyone else too, in some ways.
Yeah. And but one of the first things I realized in Nashville was my name and reputation might get me in the door, but in order to stay at the party, I better be able to bring it because you're talking about a level of musicianship on a whole other level.
Yeah.
And I was complacent. I could play the Hall & Oates show in my sleep. Wasn't doing anything but that. And I needed a challenge. And all of a sudden, I was thrust into rooms with superlative players, Jerry Douglas, Sam Bush, Bela Fleck, people, and the great studio musicians, Guthrie Trapp, people who could really play.
Yeah.
And so I started woodshedding. I started practicing again. And I started bringing back that folk stuff, the early influences. And I realized, wait a minute, that was the key that unlocked who I could be as a solo artist, because I didn't know who I could be. Because my entire musical personality was wrapped up in my collaboration with Darryl.
Probably, right? Yeah. Did that then affect the way that you approached going back and playing on Hall & Oates tours?
Yeah, I didn't want to do it.
Okay.
I did it because the money was great and there was a demand for it.
People.
Well, of course.
I took my daughter to see you guys.
Hey, listen.
Her first show in Aspen Jazz Fest, like in 2017.
Really? Yeah, I remember we played that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It was great, but I really felt like I was treading water. I mean, we had the most unbelievable problem. We had too many hits.
How was that a problem?
Because that's all people wanted to hear. They didn't want to hear anything else. So even though we had a tremendously deep catalog, and I'll speak for Darryl on this too, he had unbelievable songs that he was dying to play. Yeah. We couldn't play them. Every show we'd shoehorn one song in. One song, some obscure Oates song, and then we'd do one of his like obscure, solo songs or whatever. And I'm sure it was just as frustrating for him as it was for me. Yeah. But as time went on and I began to be excited about what I could do in Nashville with the players and, the opportunity that might started presenting themselves, I just couldn't do it anymore.
Do you think there's a world, if the audience, the Hall & Oates audience had been more accepting of what you guys wanted to present, do you think it would have...
Interesting question.
Changed the vibe
the
of it?
hardcore Hall & Oates fans would have been.
Yeah.
But we weren't playing only to hardcore. We were playing to the general public, and a lot of them. Okay. When you're playing an arena, a big, giant show, 15,000, 18,000 people, they're not all hardcore fans.
Yeah.
there's a hardcore group, and they would have been open to anything. I always found the true Hall & Oates fans were very open-minded.
Yeah.
But we were more than that.
Yeah.
You know, Bigger Than Both of Us.
Yes.
There's the title of an album. There's a
great album.
And it says a lot.
What's the opening track on that? That's a great song too. And that was
Bigger Than Both of Us was a single, wasn't
the first
really?
Track was Back Together, of course.
Back Together Again.
Yeah, Back Together.
Oh, you want to hear a story about that?
Please.
Everybody thinks Back Together Again, Back Together Again. Probably talking about me and Daryl or something like that. Not even close. I was on a flight. I was sitting in first class coming back from New Orleans from a festival, I think. And I was sitting next to Frankie Valli.
Amazing.
And he and I talked the whole way on the flight. And he told me the whole story, the Jersey Boys story about, the problem with his daughter and the band and this and that, and how he wanted to step away, and then he went. And that's what it's about. It's about back together again, singing the same old story. Back together again. The old songs never end, but it'll give you something to believe in. And I wrote the whole song about him, about what he told me on that flight.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I mean, is that a song you guys would play live?
We actually used to open the show with it, especially in the mid-'70s.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we played it even as early as maybe 3-4 years ago. Amazing. Or late as 3-4 years ago.
Is there a world, naively?
No.
Not even doing the deep?
No.
Yeah.
As Daryl Hall so aptly said on an interview, that ship has sailed.
Yeah.
In fact, he said, and I quote, "Not only has that ship has sailed, it's sunk to the bottom of the ocean. Look it up." I didn't say it, he did.
And do you feel, you hear that and you think, yeah, same?
I'm free.
Yeah.
I'm very optimistic. Look, anyone's creative life has a timestamp. That's the way I look at it. I see our contemporaries, my contemporaries, falling by the wayside, whether it's through passing away or just not being able to do it anymore for any number of reasons, sickness, bad luck, misfortune, whatever. I can still play. I can still sing. I can travel. I'm still healthy. I don't want to lose this opportunity to do as much as I can, because there but for fortune go you or I, right?
Yeah.
And it could change right now. I could walk out this door and fall down the elevator shaft and see you later, bye.
Yeah.
So I don't have much time left. I want to make the most of it.
It's amazing. In a way, it's like you're back in Colorado, but you're able to do it with your own music.
Yeah.
So you're doing music on your own terms, and it's beautiful. Can you play something from your new album, Oates?
Sure.
Whatever I'm curious what your favorite might be.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do have a favorite. I've got a lot of favorites because I'm really proud of this record. I'm going to play a song that I co-wrote with a really a great, talented guy named Jed Hughes. Jed is one of the go-to top Nashville session guitarists. He plays on tons of people's records. He's from Australia, but he plays predominantly on country music. But he's also a great songwriter in his own. He and I was really impressed with him, and we talked about getting together, and his schedule and my schedule were so busy we couldn't find a time to get together. And we kept picking a date, and he'd say, "Oh, I can't do that one," and I said, "Well, no, I'm out of town," and blah blah blah. So eventually, we just said, "Look, we're never going to be able to get together unless we pick some date that's a ways away from." And I went, "A ways away," and I said to him on the phone, I said, "That's a freaking great title," and he went, "Yeah, that's cool." I said, "So when we finally do get together, that's the song we're going to write. I don't know what it's going to be. That's the song." So
you earmarked it, and you came back to it.
Yeah. Hell yeah. All right, this goes I'm going to try. This is a tough song to sing, but I'm going to do my best here. You say it's hard to stay close enough to me. Talking about the way things used to be. Those heavy mornings just keep coming. We'll cross the finish line, yeah, if we just keep running. Hear the words come flying by, but I can't hear a thing you're saying. If you and I ain't winning, baby. Why do we keep on playing? 'Cause it's never black or white, it's just a million shades of gray. We're a ways away. Oh yeah. We're a ways away, just a ways up, just a ways up, just a ways away. We're a ways away. Just a ways away. Let's bring it back into the room. Let's break it down and put us back in tune. Those sweet memories keep coming, 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 coming. We'll cross the finish line, yeah, we'll just keep running. Maybe time will tell what will be. Can't imagine there could be an end to you and me. 'Cause it's never black or white, it's just a million shades of gray. We're a ways away. We're a ways away, just a ways up, just a ways up, just a ways away. We're a ways away. We're a ways away, just a ways up, just a ways away. We're a ways away. Never thought I'd hear you. Never thought I'd hear you say, baby, just a ways up, just a ways up, just a ways away. Sweet memories keep coming. Sweet memories keep coming. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're a ways away.
I love the way you play, man.
Oh, thanks.
I really do.
Thank you.
Those kinds of chords.
Yeah.
People don't really. Not a lot of people play like that anymore. Where do you get those? Where do you get those kinds of chords?
Well, you know what? I got to give Daryl Hall some props here, because when here I was a folky player. I'm doing all these cowboy chords. And he was a great piano player. He is a great piano player. And he played some unusual inversions. He would always do substitutions and stuff. And I had to figure that out on the guitar and adapt to my guitar playing style. In fact, when I first got to Nashville, a lot of people said, "Oh, well, you kind of play like a piano player." And I was like, "Well, yeah, there's kind of reason for that." So, yeah, full props there. But and over the time, I've adapted and changed my style. And I just I do a lot of more sophisticated voicings and stuff like that.
Even back, so would you say your style's changed from even?
Well, it's definitely gotten more sophisticated now. Yeah. Also, as I said, I began to woodshed when I got to Nashville, practice like a madman just to keep up with those cats.
Yeah.
So.
What does woodshedding look like for you?
Practicing, playing every day, pretty much.
And what do you just listening to records and playing? Or?
No, just exercises for the fingers. All kinds of weird exercises. Stuff like that. Just stuff that keeps, as I said, I'm getting older and, I want to make sure my fingers still work. And so, I do that. And really my practicing really is more songwriting.
Okay.
I start writing stuff, there's a song that I collaborated on the record with Lawrence, the band. I don't know if you know Lawrence.
Yeah.
They're so great. And I challenged myself to write a song that sounded like them because I was inspired by their music. I was listening to their albums and really digging the fact that they had so much energy and joy. And I said, so I was sitting around, I'm going, see if I can write a song that sounds just, and then when I wrote the song, it sounded so much like them. I actually took some of their lyrics from one of their songs, put it in my song and sent it to them. And I said, hey, just want to let you know, I'm not trying to rip you off. I want to collaborate with you. And they liked the idea, and we did it together. So it was great.
That's so cool. That's great feedback. It can be kind of dicey.
Well, I took a chance. I took a shot.
Yeah.
I figured they'd send me an email and say, it's a pretty good song, but we don't really feel like doing a song with someone as old as our grandfather. So
listen, man, once you're John Oates, come on.
Clyde and Gracie Lawrence are fantastic. They're fantastic people and amazing artists.
That's so cool, man. I want to get back to Nashville. But as I kind of previewed earlier, I mean, let's say you got to experience some really unique scenes over the years. Mm-hmm. One of them being a really changing New York scene. You guys made War Babies in New York when CBGB was
with Todd Rundgren.
Like when television's playing every night.
Yeah.
And
I used to go to all those places.
And you would see them. You'd see all those groups, right?
Sure.
Did you have a favorite? Were you turned off by the music? What was?
I was excited by new wave and that kind of proto-punk movement only because it was new, not because I related to it on a musical level.
Okay.
I thought it was, fairly simplistic and kind of like, although I always like television. I like the guitar parts. They were really interesting. Yeah. But Patti Smith and all that stuff that was going on, it was like non-melodic, but exciting because it was new and fresh.
Yeah.
So that was the cool part. I try to use the inspiration from the energy of what they were doing, but not try to ape what they were actually doing, because I didn't want to try to be something I wasn't.
Yeah.
I wrote a song, I was a big fan of the Psychedelic Furs, and I still am.
Yeah.
Good friends with Richard Butler, and I love them. And I try to write a song that sounded like them. I wrote a song called Friday Let Me Down Tonight.
I don't know that
one. Well, it's to me, it sounds like the Psychedelic Furs. Richard Butler probably doesn't think so. But, that was just one of those things where I, try to capture that kind of spirit. But no, I think you got to stay true to your school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's one thing to try things, but at the same time, you got to know where your sweet spots are.
Yeah. So energetically, that scene was
a fan. Yes.
Yeah, a fan. You go right from there to your point earlier, where you come to LA to record the Silver album. Yeah. You go to almost like the diametrically opposing vibe in a sense, and it's like, but then you're hanging out with weird people, or not weird people, but people you might not expect, where it's like Frank Zappa. You're like what in the world?
It was really funny. Frank Zappa. We were sitting at the Roxy with Frank Zappa
and John Mayall, right, or something.
Yeah, John Mayall and all those people. It was the '70s. I remember we sat at a booth. Me and Daryl were sitting at a booth with Frank Zappa after a show, and Frank Zappa said, I remember, never forget. He said, you guys, you guys should stop making records and have a television show. That's what he said. Interestingly enough, Daryl listened to him. Daryl's got his life from
decades later. Yeah. That actually would have been a great idea, by the way.
Well, I think he's probably right.
If you guys had
but we didn't do too bad on the recording side.
No, you didn't.
Yeah. No, Frank. Frank Zappa was a real futurist. He really. I see some of these interviews and stuff that he did back in the day, talking about. Yeah. He really was
what was going on with the internet and with artist rights and just
really
different.
Brilliant.
Yeah, his music that must have been
that didn't mean anything to me.
Didn't resonate.
No.
Yeah. Very, very, very. Yeah.
Although I did like Captain Beefheart.
What, really? That's even more out there, to be honest.
Yeah.
L.A. in the '70s.
Oh, unbelievable.
What? Yeah. What was that?
So good.
What was that like?
I can't tell you. I can't tell you. I get arrested.
Do you miss it?
I thought LA in the '70s was like going to Nirvana. The roads were empty. You could drive to freaking Mexico in an hour and 45 minutes. You could just do whatever you wanted to, and everybody was loose and cool, and it was just, yeah, it was fun. I mean, we did 3 albums out here, and we didn't live here, but we spent months, renting houses and things like that while we were recording. And at the time, there was a guy named Christopher Bond who was in our band in the early 70s. Yeah. He had moved to LA to make his way as a producer. Very talented guy. And after the War Babies thing with Todd Rundgren, when that didn't connect, he said, you guys need to come out here. He goes, I've got the studios, I've got the great players, I've got it all wired. Come on out here, we'll make a great record. And we listened to him, and we did. And we had the cream of the crop of the LA session players on the Silver album and the Bigger Than Both of Us. And it was amazing to be in the studio with these great, Jeff Porcaro, Lee Sklar. We had them all. I mean, Jim Gordon, all these amazing musicians. And Sarah Smile and Rich Girl, and that came from those sessions. And so it was great. It was really great to do that. But at the same time, I think what it was pointing at was that we needed to really take control of our own music and get out of that paradigm where the artist is over here and the record company appoints a producer and the producer is responsible for the artist. Yeah. It was an old-fashioned, paradigm. And so by time, we were working with David Foster in the late 70s.
Right.
And I remember one session we were doing in the late 70s, David said, I don't know what I'm doing here. You guys are making this record yourself. And we're like, yeah, I guess we are. That's what we're going to do. And that led to the 80s and, of course, the commercial success.
Yeah. Is there a similarity between what was going on with that sort of those studio guys here in LA in the 70s with the Nashville scene?
Yeah, well, just in terms of quality.
Yeah, right.
In terms of the musicianship and quality. Yeah, right. They were pros.
The number of
they were
just
pros.
Super.
They just came in and played, and it's not just the playing. It's not just the skill of the technique or their playing. It's the way they listen. It's their equipment. When you do a session in Nashville, Vince Gill told me when I first moved there, he said, if you're going to be producing songs, in Nashville, he says you got to think of yourself as like a director of a movie. Mm. It's not who you choose. It's not the best guitar player to choose or the best bass player or drummer, because they're all good. It's who's the exact right player for that moment, for that song, to serve that song. And it takes time to learn who they are and experience them and kind of pull together your Rolodex, so to speak.
Yeah.
And that's what you do. You just, now I can handpick if I need a pedal steel player, there's 2 guys that I'm always going to go to, and it depends on which one's available and which one's right. And keyboards and drums, and it's all this, and
it's almost a crazy way to work that.
You can craft the music you want to make and know that they're going to deliver it for you.
Wow.
Yeah. And they have all the guitars and the pedal boards and the sounds and it's a real pleasure to walk into a room and just have the support knowing that these guys are going to deliver. Yeah.
I don't know if it's the tour you're on now, but you do a tour where it's you and 3.
Yeah, acoustic tour.
An acoustic quartet tour.
Yes, which I've been doing for the last 2.5 years.
Is that what you're doing tomorrow at the
No, it's full electric band tomorrow.
Full electric tomorrow.
Yeah, we're kicking ass tomorrow.
Can't wait. What tunes do you do with the acoustic quartet?
Oh, well, do Sonny Terry and Brownie McGee. Do all kinds of stuff. I do, I do some folky stuff. I do a John Prine song. Nice. Just like it's a much more loose, and it's much more a storyteller show, where I tell these really long, involved stories about. I do some Mississippi John Hurt. I do some Doc Watson. So yeah, it's a much more laid back. I'm sitting down. I got an acoustic guitar. I got a cello, pedal steel, percussion, and then it was time to put the acoustic away. Grab my Strat, plug it into an amp, and crank it up a little bit. So yeah, this new band is much more of a kind of a R&B soul band.
Any of the same guys or totally different?
Only the drummer.
That's awesome, man.
We've only done about 6 shows.
That's. I mean, the experience you have, like over the years, like I imagine when you go to play like a Troubadour now, it's got to be so much fun to play.
I love playing small venues. Yeah. I love playing small venues. It's musical. It's the people are right there. The energy's there. I've really, especially on the acoustic tour, playing small theaters was the sweet spot because it's people are sitting, they're sitting to listen to stories, and they want to be comfortable, and the sound is great because it's a theater, it's made for music.
Right.
I really don't like playing arenas and things like that. It just feels disjointed and feel removed from the crowd, and it feels more like a spectacle where it's not as musical.
Man, well, are you open to ending with another tune?
I could do a Push and a Rock.
Yeah, great. The new version?
Yeah. But boy, damn! I wish I could sing better. I'm really kind of, this cold is bothering me. But keep on pushing, pushing, pushing around, yeah. Keep on pushing, pushing, pushing around. I said, hey there, brother, can you lend a hand? Feels like I'm hurting, can you understand? I wanna beg cause it kills my pride, praying I get out of here alive. My life's unlucky, gone from bad to good. Made some mistakes, I've been misunderstood. Up and down, trying to turn it around, just to get back on solid ground. Keep on pushing, pushing, pushing a rock, oh yeah. When it rolls back down, just roll with it, roll with it, roll with it, roll with it. Ooh, keep on pushing, pushing a rock, oh yeah. When it rolls back down, roll with it. Roll with it, roll with it. Now keep your head held high, keep trying and trying. Keep your eyes on the prize, hope on the horizon. Got a hole in your pocket, but you keep on searching for heart of gold. When the road gets rough and you had enough, when life hits you hard, but you keep standing tall. Lend a hand, try to help a brother. Reach out to each other, keep on pushing. Oh, pushing a rock out. Roll with it, roll with it, roll with it. Ooh, keep on pushing down. Pushing on a rock, don't you ever give up. Roll with it, roll with it, roll with it. Sun's coming up, sun's going down. If I keep on pushing, I can't turn this whole thing around. One step ahead, two steps behind. If I just face every day, I'll get back on my feet in time. Pushing on a rock that you ever give. Roll with it, roll with it, oh, oh. Keep on pushing a rock. Don't you ever give up. Baby, just roll with it, baby, yeah. Said, baby, baby, just roll.
That's sweet, man.
Thanks.
Yeah, when you hit that keep on pushing in that falsetto, I remember.
That's my Curtis Mayfield thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, I remember, and you do a version of Gypsy Woman, too.
I do it live.
Oh, my God.
It's one of my favorite songs.
So cool.
Yeah. Alone there, through a caravan, around the campfire light. Lovely woman in motion, hair as dark as the night. Her eyes like that of a cat in the dark. They hypnotize me with love, baby. Oh, she was a gypsy woman.
Did you ever get to meet Curtis or the impressions or anything?
Well, I was a huge fan, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever see him or anything?
Yeah.
You did?
I saw him live at the Uptown Theater in Philadelphia.
So a solo gig?
In the 60s.
With the impressions?
With the impressions, yeah.
Oh, man, that's amazing.
So good.
One of the best.
Yep.
And, man, thank you so much. It's so great to have you.
That was a great interview. I appreciate it, man.
Oh, no, thank you.
Got a chance to really go some places. Thank you.
Really looking forward to this.
Thanks for having me. And I'm sorry I wasn't at my best because I'm honestly, I just feel like I can't sing really well. But
man, we're two guys not at our best right now. So,
okay.
We did it, man.
Good.
Thank you so much.
It's a secret. Don't tell anybody.
Thanks.
See if we fooled him again, right?
I think we did.
All right.
I think we did. No, that was a real
Thanks,
pleasure, man. Thanks for checking out Broken Record on YouTube. If you want to listen to us on the go, be sure to subscribe to Broken Record wherever you listen to podcasts.